Well, thanks for joining me for another Advent devotion here in the second week of Advent. Last week in our devotion, we talked about possessions and how the possessions that we have here in this life are a good gift of God, and they're, so to speak, a foretaste of the restoration of these good gifts of God, these possessions that the Lord will grant to us in the new creation. And so I encouraged you to view your possessions and things as a gift of God and as a way to help you to look forward to Christ's second coming when they will be restored in abundance. And I want to talk today about the topic of food in a very similar vein. But first I want to read to you a couple of verses from the prophet Joel. This is from Joel chapter 3, verses 17 and 18. The prophet writes, "So you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who dwells in Zion, my holy mountain. And Jerusalem shall be holy, and strangers shall never again pass through it. And in that day the mountains shall drip sweet wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the stream beds of Judah shall flow with water, and a fountain shall come forth from the house of the Lord and water the valley of Shittim." What we see, especially in verse 18 here, is the prophet Joel painting this beautiful picture of the new creation where sweet wine is dripping from the mountains and that hills are flowing with milk. It's this picture of abundant food. And this is a picture that's all over the Bible when it talks about the new creation, that there will be food and feasting in abundance. And this is something that I think we in our 21st century American culture can really resonate with and look forward to, because we love feasting. I mean, the holidays that surround the season of Advent are a great example of this. Thanksgiving Day, we love to feast together. Christmas Day, or whatever day we celebrate Christmas on, we love to feast together as friends and family. So what I want to encourage you to do this Advent and Christmas season is to view your food, to view your meals, to view your feasting as literally a foretaste of what the prophet is promising, this abundance of food that will be ours in the new creation. Now, I get it. We're in the midst of a global pandemic that complicates these matters. We can't just go out to eat or have people over to our house like we used to. But I want to really encourage you in the time that you do have, whether it's just you alone or whether it's you with your family group, or maybe you have some quarantine buddies that you get together with that are part of your bubble. When you eat together and you feast together, or again, even if it's by yourself, you can think about what it is that this is a foretaste of. It's a foretaste of this heavenly feast. It's abundant food and feasting that will go on for all of eternity in the new creation. So I want to invite you to use this time to look forward to that. And then one other challenge that I'd like you to have in mind going forward, especially once things return to normal, which we hope and pray they will sooner than later. The prophet says this at the end of verse 17, and it's really quite striking. He says that Jerusalem, the heavenly city, the new creation, so to speak, shall be holy, and strangers shall never again pass through it. The prophet isn't suggesting that this means that there's going to be restricted access. I mean, if you just look back at the end of chapter 2, where Joel talks about that the Lord was going to pour his Spirit out on all people, that's not what he's talking about. What the prophet's talking about here is that anyone and everyone who comes into the Lord's holy city in the new creation, they won't be a stranger, because there are no strangers, because we're all family. And so my challenge for you as you think about your life moving forward is, what would your life look like if a stranger never entered your house? What would your life look like if your home was a place where no one was a stranger, where everyone was part of your family? What would it look like if you had a large dinner table with extra seats that you could invite freely anyone and everyone to join you there at that table? There's something almost sacred about eating together and feasting together. And we as Christians know that this feasting is a foretaste of the feast to come. And so I pray that you'd consider that. I pray that the Lord would bless you and your family and your feasting here in this Advent season. God's blessings to you and your family.